All right, everyone. Welcome to the Spake Up podcast. I don't even know what week it is, which is a good thing because the weeks are continuing to tick down. Today, I am so excited about this conversation. And when I asked her, Kate Scott, she of course is the voice of the 76ers, but so much more than that. If you are a woman in broadcasting, she is the standard. If you are a man in broadcasting, she is also the standard because of the way that she does things, the way that she approaches things, the way that she treats people. All of those things it's what everyone strives to be. And you can see that she's respected. You can see that she's appreciated by the people that she covers and the people that work with her. I've never had a chance to work with her. I've watched her from afar and admired her for so many years. Kate Scott, when I was preparing for this interview today, and I talked to her about this, there were a lot of things that she said that I really connected with because I feel like I've traveled down that road. But of course, she has a lot of things that her road is a lot different than mine in many ways as well. So I am excited for her to be, I don't want to say first, but it is. She's the first female. We talk about that. We talk about when that sort of title will no longer be first female, when it's just play-by-play or guest or whatever. But she is the first woman that I'm having on this podcast. And I think that it is, after talking to her, I am 1,000,000% sure that this was the right first woman to have on my broadcast. I'm wearing my This Best Day Ever shirt, which Kelly Hambleton, my producer, gave me. We'll explain the shirt on the back end of this interview, but I hope everyone enjoys this interview. And again, subscribe, let Kate know that you listen to it, and enjoy. It's a long one, but enjoy. Okay, I'm really excited about this one. Kate Scott. First of all, I do have to say my producer is I want to say Homer, but I don't even think that that's like the right thing to say about Philadelphia fans. She's like screaming in the other room when she saw your shirt. She told me her mom, Joanne, 75 years old. There you go. Mm-hmm. Feels like every time she watches you on TV, she knows you. Mm. Do you get that a lot?
Wow. Well, first of all, Shannon, it's great to see you, my friend.
Me too.
Thanks for having me on. I'm hugging you.
I always just dig right in. I watch Howard Stern a lot, and he just goes.
Yeah, screw the small talk. Let's dive right in. I've heard that a few times, yes. And every time I hear that, it makes me so happy because I think the biggest compliment that we can get, those of us in the broadcasting industry, especially play-by-play and analysts, is I just feel like I'm watching a game with a friend, right? I would love to hang out with you. I feel like I'm eating my popcorn, drinking my whatever with a couple of friends every night, watching my favorite team play ball. So that means so much. And when it comes from, especially older women who I know have been sports fans forever, just like all the men who are their age, they've loved sports forever. Hopefully it means a little something more when it's me who's calling the game for them.
Yeah, one of the nicest compliments that I ever received was from my one of my closest friends, Jamie Little, who's also a sportscaster, and she's actually done play-by-play now for NASCAR.
Yeah.
So kind of very much following in your footsteps. She said in an interview that what you see is what you get from Shannon. She is the same person on air that she is off air, and I feel like that was the nicest compliment because we all know that the TV people, right, that turn it on for the TV and are very different off air.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Shannon.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So that authenticity, that realness, I think when you know that you are who you are on air and that comes across, I think that's the best thing that we can give to anybody.
But you know this too. It is also one of the hardest things. When I tell young kids to be yourself, I still at times throughout our NBA season or whatever sport I'm calling, there will be a game or two where I don't feel like myself and I don't know why. And I feel like I'm trying to be a different broadcaster on air. And the whole game I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing? So as you can tell, I'm an overanalyzer. But yeah, I think authenticity, when you can truly be yourself on air, I think that's when you're understandably your best because the true you is coming through and everybody can feel that. And then that connection just gets even stronger.
Yeah, you're like, you go to break or something, you're like, and you say it in a way where you're like, why did I say it that way?
Why did Mike Tirico just come out? I am not Mike Tirico. Why is Ian Eagle speaking through me? That sounded so fake. What are you doing? Love those guys, but be you. And yeah, I struggle with it. I think sometimes I struggle with it because the majority of people who do what I do are men. So I grew up always listening to guys call sports, and I still obviously hear them. They're the soundtrack in my head a lot of times. So I have to take the things I love from their vocabulary, from the way they punch certain plays, but then make it my own and make it come out sounding like me.
Yeah, my guy is Joe Tessitore. Like I always hear
Mm.
my Joe Tessitore, like, well, I'm gonna have some wine and some prosciutto. Like that's
I
what
was
I
going to say,
always.
that's an intense voice you're hearing if it's Joe. Shannon Spake is
I,
coming in for the touchdown.
I love him. I started with him, called some of my first football games with him, and I remember sitting there with him and him telling me, and his confidence is through the roof. Him telling me that he was going to call Monday Night Football sometime, and when he got that gig, I was like I mean, I know. And also that the effect that you have on people when you call people like Joe Tess or Sean McDonough or whatever, and they answer the phone.
Yeah.
And they take your call, which always means a lot. I want to ask you, speaking of Joe Tessitore, I've worked with a lot of play-by-play guys. And what I think they all have photographic memories. Do you?
No, Shannon. No, I sure don't. And
so it's a lot of work.
I sure as heck, easy for me to say, wish I did. But you're right. A lot of them do have photographic memories, which is a huge advantage when it comes to play-by-play because, like to say, play-by-play is an open book test, right? We have our boards in front of us, which are usually, I'll just do basketball, one team on one side, one team on the other, and all the information I need about all the guys who are going to be playing tonight in front of me. So I can look down, but basketball, especially at the NBA level, moves so fast that you have to know where you're looking. You have to know when you can look down. And that was the biggest transition for me coming from college to the NBA, just the speed. You have so little time to actually reference your notes, that to have a photographic memory and to write everything down earlier in the day and not have to look down again really at all, except maybe if somebody's shooting free throws, that's a huge advantage. But now, 20 years into my career, Shannon, really any advantage I could have given myself in this industry, going to a specific broadcasting college, having somebody in my family already in the industry, playing a collegiate sport, I've realized, Shannon, I didn't do any of those things. I didn't know they were advantages at the time. But yeah, having a photographic memory would be another one of those things. But hey, the heart is what makes it good, right, girl? So let's keep going.
Well, no, I have been with play-by-play guys who do not have photographic memories, or maybe just a little bit, and you see how hard they work. And then the other ones that are just like out to dinner and hanging out, you're like, man, I'm like sitting here getting ready for like I'm writing it out every note. People always say like I'm like on the chip all the time, and it's like because I have my processes, and those are so. This is my next question. So I read a lot about you kind of getting ready for this. Obviously, I've covered your career. But to hear you talk and some of the quotes that I've heard you say, I feel like I felt like they're the same things that I say.
I'm sure.
So one of the things that I found really, really interesting was when you were talking to Mark Zumoff and you guys talked about imposter syndrome. I recently I spoke to a group of women, and that was sort of the topic of my conversation with the women. Imposter syndrome, how I live with it every single day. Every time that phone rings, I think it's someone that's going to call me and tell me I'm going to lose my job, that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I live with it all the time. I was shocked, Kate, to hear you say that you have it because, girl, I do not see that from you. I do not.
Well, thank you.
Your voice never cracks. You never see the nerves. You never see this. The imposter syndrome. So how does that resonate with you? How does that sort of live within you?
You know the duck metaphor, right, Shannon? I'm sure everybody does.
No.
Where the duck looks, you see the duck on top of the water, right? And it's so calm and smooth, and under the water, just paddling like crazy.
Kicking like hell.
And thank you for saying that. I will say it has gotten better in the last few years. Going to be going into year 5 with the Sixers this fall, year 3 with the Seahawks for preseason football. Going to be flying out to Seattle soon for that. So I think just like an athlete, right? The more reps you get, the more practice you get, the more you really start to believe in yourself. I'm supposed to be here. I truly can do this. It may look and sound different than everybody else who does what I do, but I'm here and I deserve it and I belong. So let's go kick some ass. But I think at the same time, because of what I just said, I'm one of very few who looks and sounds like me who does what I do.
Yeah.
So the world is always, whether it's meaning to or not, telling me, are you sure you belong here? Like, is this really what you should be doing? Because there's not a lot of people who look or sound like you who do this. And I don't know, really? Like maybe just try harder, maybe prep harder. So it's a constant internal battle. And I try to be, hopefully, as this pod is showing and will show, as open and vulnerable as possible,
Yeah.
because getting back to that authenticity, I remember when people would come and speak when I was early in my broadcasting career and would make it seem like, the best, prettiest industry and it's easy and you're going to love it. And now getting into it, like, I just wish people would have been honest, because I think that really would have helped. And I try to be that anytime I'm speaking. So yeah, sometimes I do suffer from imposter syndrome. And I think this industry and the world in general doesn't make that easy for women who are doing things that very other few women have done.
So what
But
are some of the things that you say that are challenging about this? I'm interested
yeah,
because I think every job is hard.
yes,
And when people ask me about being a woman in a man's world, I think personally, and obviously I'm in a different situation than you, I
yeah,
almost think it's an antiquated question, because I think there are so
mm,
many of us. I don't think that we're making the same money as men, and I don't think that we have the same opportunities as men. And I
yeah,
feel like there's still a long way for us to go. But I
yeah,
do feel like there's more of us. And I feel where we have gained the most
yeah,
is in support for each other. We're no
yeah.
longer battling. There is that.
Yeah, but it's changed completely in the 20 years since I've been in the industry. And that is one of the things that I am most happy about, Shannon.
Yes.
That, even 10 years ago, you and I probably wouldn't have been having this conversation.
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, no chance.
We thought there's
And
only so much space for a few of us,
there
right?
was, there was like one woman per market, right? Okay, well, this
Hmm.
woman's going to be the sideline reporter for the baseball team and the football team, and if there's a basketball team, and that's it. There's one female anchor. Okay, we're checking that box, so we've got our woman in this market. But yeah, I remember early in my career in the San Francisco Bay Area that there was a couple of women that I looked up to, and I wanted them to be my mentor because I didn't have any female mentors at the time, and they would not talk to me.
Yep.
It was hard at the time, but now in retrospect, I completely understand
Yeah.
it. And I've granted them that grace because they were under that impression as well, that this was their job. And any other woman, if they were going to work in that market, was going to take their job. So the fact that we have slowly but surely, and as you said, still a work in progress, I think everything is, but we're slowly changing that narrative in that if you are kind and really talented and hard working and all the things that our male counterparts are, there will be a spot for you in this industry, because the industry has changed in the last 20 years.
Yeah. I think a lot of that, I remember there was a girl, a woman that I worked with, that when I was at ESPN, there was a lot of like pitting against, like,
Yeah,
hey, she's going to get this or you're going to get this, or she's going to
yeah,
get this or you're going to get this. And I had to internally change the way that I viewed her.
mm,
And when I would first see her kind of pop on the screen, there'd be like, dang, I wish I was doing
totally,
that. And I did a
totally.
lot of work internally. And I
Yeah,
use her as an example, Kaylee Hartung. I use her as an example because I had to change the way that I thought about her. And I remember when she got the
mm,
job with GMA and I saw her on TV, and Kate, I was happy for her. And I've told her this story.
mm,
I was so happy for her.
yeah,
And I remember thinking, huh, I did it. Yeah,
yeah,
I am not wired like that anymore. I'm truly going to be happy
which
for
is
people and help people.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm right there with you. I remember that jealousy. And I now am so grateful that I had those feelings and those experiences, because now I love mentoring young people in this industry, guys and gals. And it happens to everybody when you're first starting out and you think you deserve a certain job and you really wanted a certain position and you didn't get it, and you see the
Yeah.
person who got it and you're pissed every time you see them on TV or on radio or whatever it is. And I just tell them, just keep working. There's
Yeah.
space in this industry for all of us for whatever reason. And a lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with talent. they were looking for a specific look or sound or some person to fit with the people they already had on the broadcast. So just keep going, stay focused on your path. And it's not the easiest thing to do because this is such a confusing, difficult industry. But that's awesome to hear because I think one of the coolest things is that we're able to have this conversation and support each other, and there is space for everybody. And I think I'm motivated when I see you doing stuff. When I see Jamie, I'm a big fan of Jamie's on the NASCAR coverage. But when I see other women just kicking ass and working hard and lifting up other women, it motivates me to keep doing the same.
It's a shine theory. I shine, you shine. I've said that before, and I really do love that. All right. So first female mic man at UC Berkeley. I'm sure that you could still kind of scream those things. First woman to call an NFL game on the radio. First woman to call a football game on Pac-12 Network. First ever all women's broadcast crew for National Hockey League, for Golden State Warriors, NBA Radio, Copa America. First woman voice of Madden. All of the firsts, right? First woman on my podcast, by the way, which was really important to me to have you.
That's the first I'm excited.
Yeah, it was really important when Kelly and I sat down and we're 4 weeks into this, and I said it's time. It's time, right? I mean, I've talked to all these men. Who's it going to be? I mean, your name, that was it. How comfortable? I mean, you are what we look up to because of the fact that you're not apologetic. You are very confident, and you've just moved forward and continue to move forward. You're a role model. How comfortable are you with that? And I guess, did you seek that out? Is that did a young Kate know that this is where she was going to
go? No. This is all. This isn't even a dream come true, Shannon. This is never in my wildest dream.
I get it.
Sort of stuff my entire life. And I try to reflect that to people who say, yeah, but you played a collegiate sport. And I'm like, no, I didn't play a collegiate sport. The older you get in this industry, people create stories about your story. Oh, but you grew up in San Francisco. No, I grew up in a small town in the middle of California.
Yep.
It was barefoot on the 4th of July, lighting sparklers in the middle of our street. This is never in my wildest dreams would I be talking to you in my office in Philadelphia, one of, if not the greatest sports town in America. Obviously, I'm a little biased now, being here for a few years.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's pretty good.
But, getting to call women's soccer on CBS, and again, flying out to Seattle soon.
Yeah.
Seahawks preseason football. This afternoon, I have a Madden recording session for the best-selling video game in the United States when it comes to sports. Like, never in my wildest dreams sort of stuff. So because of that, to get back to your question, I think a lot of people throw around the word grateful because it's like one of those cool things to say these days, but I am so grateful.
Yeah, I get it.
And I struggle with hearing the role model and the trailblazer thing because there is a small group of women who came before me, but who also came before social media. So a lot of people don't know about them, but they're my mentors and they're the true trailblazers in my opinion. But I also take the role model and the trailblazer and all those eyes and ears on me very seriously because of what we talked about. Like, if this industry does not look and sound different than it did when I started 20 years ago, if I have not opened doors and crushed ceilings and done everything I can to get everybody who loves sports and is going to work their ass off and earn and deserve jobs in this industry, regardless of who they are, regardless of what they look like. If I haven't done that when I leave, like, what a waste it will be.
Yeah.
Cool. You lived a great life, Kate, but what about everybody else who has wanted to do this as well? What have you done to help them make their dreams come true?
Wow.
So yeah, I take the role model moniker very seriously. I think because I remember growing up when athletes that I loved scoffed at it and said, I'm not a role model, I'm just a basketball player, which I understand. I completely understand. But I'm going in the opposite direction. Like, you're looking up to me. What an honor that is. Let's see how far I can take this so that hopefully things will be easier and more fun for you coming up behind me.
I love that. And I'm going to jump a little bit. I wanted to kind of save this, but we're kind of there. You and I can sit here and talk about how much we have in common because we're women on TV. Mm-hmm. However, I don't have to answer questions about the person that I sleep in bed with every single night or the person that I'm married. Like, right? Like, I don't have to answer those questions.
Now, Shannon, we've been together for almost 20 years. So, anybody who's been together 20 years knows.
Right. But that is part of who you are and part of part of your story that you wanted to be.
Yeah.
You came out and I know that there's a lot of people that work in any industry that do not want to have
Yeah.
that part of their story. And I
Yeah.
listen to interviews, and I think it's really like amazing that
Mm.
you also took this on as well, because listen, we're still living in a world where acceptance is not 100%.
Yeah.
And you are going to get people that are going to come at you because of your sexual preference. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Yeah.
important to you.
Yeah. It's really important for me to be out. Because again, I have so much privilege, right?
Yeah.
I'm a blonde white girl, first and foremost. Like, let's start there. So I know that I have probably gotten opportunities to succeed just because of that. Um, when it comes to the LGBT community, I have so much privilege within that space. Like things that a lot of us, I think, take for granted: having supportive families, having a roof over my head, having financial stability, having a partner who I love and am so proud of, and want the world to know that she's my wife.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, so many. She
Love
is
it.
smarter and prettier and all the things. She should be the one on TV. But I have so much privilege in our community. So, again, what a selfish waste it would be if, with all of these safety nets, as I call them, um, I wasn't out showing people this is what a gay person looks like. I'm just one, and we're all different, just like all the straight people in the world and bisexual people, and everybody's different. One of the big reasons I'm out is because I came out to my parents on my 21st birthday, and my mom started crying. And I thought to myself, oh shit, I thought she knew. What's happening? This is not the reaction I thought. And she started laughing and she said, no, Kate, I knew. But I'm so scared for you. You're already trying to be a woman in sports broadcasting. Again, this was like 2000, 2001. So a long time ago. A lot has changed in all the years since then. And she said, and now you're telling me that you're going to try to be a gay woman in sports broadcasting? Do you know anybody who's out and gay on TV right now? Period. And again, this was a long time ago.
Because they weren't brave enough to do that.
Robin Roberts wasn't out.
Right.
Anderson Cooper, nobody was out. And there was very few just female sports broadcasters, period. And in that moment, Shannon, I thought to myself, wow, no, I hadn't thought about that, because when you're 21, you don't always pull back that far. But if I ever get to a point in my career where I am a successful sports broadcaster, where this can be a part of my story, that is just another thing. She is a play-by-play announcer. Oh yeah, she happens to be a woman and she happens to be gay, but she's a great play-by-play announcer. Then I want to be out so that any future kid and parent or kid and guardian having that conversation doesn't have to question if they can make it, because there will be that example already there, doing well, living their truth, being out, and again, living a life that is never in their wildest dream sort of stuff.
What was that? When you did decide to do that, was there any nerves, hesitation?
Oh yeah.
Oh really? Was it not just like, this is what I'm doing? I decided when I was,
No, there's still moments, because there's still people who, if you don't follow me on social media and you see me at an NBA game in leather pants and a sparkly blazer and my hair done up, you're stereotyped to think, oh, she's straight and she has a wedding ring on, so she's probably married to, she's married to a man. So there is still people who will say, so what does your husband do, or all this? And I still have to think again, do I want to come out to this person? How important is it? But I read a quote recently that said, oftentimes when you want to be brave, courage is disguised as fear.
I'll have to sit on that one for a second.
And it looks like fear, but if you push through it, it's because that courage is coming through. It's just, you just have to push through that fear for a moment, and that's where the courage is. That's where your bravery lies. And I just always try to pull back. And again, like, how lucky am I to be doing this, living this life? So yeah, I may get some awful comments, and I may have some awkward conversations, and I may have some tough days, but I'm still calling games for the Sixers and the
You are.
Seahawks and the NWSL and Madden. Like, this is awesome. So bring it the fuck on, baby. Bring it the fuck on.
I love it. You're like, yeah, listen,
That's all you
marriage is
got?
marriage, dude.
Come on. Exactly.
Well, I know very well. Another quote I heard you say is little by little, one walks far, which I really love. Step by step, right? Little by little. And I don't know if this is a hard left turn, but people, I didn't realize, Kate, 2016 wasn't that long ago. And I think it was 2016, you were sleeping in your car. Is that true? Like,
No,
that's unbelievable to me.
Apartment, but yeah.
Oh, you did?
I did have an apartment, yes, but it was a part of my schedule. And I wanted this so bad, Shannon. And I didn't realize it was so recent, but it was. I looked actually back at my LinkedIn page earlier
That's
because
recent.
I was like, what's Shannon going to ask me?
Well, I don't have LinkedIn, so just so you know,
that's okay.
I can't go there yet.
That's okay. That's smart. But yeah, I wanted to do this so bad, but oftentimes when you're starting out in this industry, the pay is shit. So I was doing morning sports updates for KNBR, which is the Giants and 49ers and Warriors radio flagship in San Francisco. So I'd wake up at 3 a.m., get all ready, drive down to the station at 4, prepare my updates, prepare everything I wanted to talk about so that when we went on air at 5, I could pay attention to the show because I had an open mic with the guys, but also I'd be ready to do my sports updates twice an hour. Then at 9, I would go up to our little parking lot. I had a little pillow and a little blanket in my Toyota Prius, like a good San Francisco resident at the time. And I would nap for, an hour, 90 minutes if I could. And then I would drive across town to the Pac-12 network, which was where I was doing TV at the time. And I would get into my dress or whatever fancy TV clothes I was wearing that day, do my own hair and makeup, and then get ready because everybody knows sports events are at night. So do radio in the morning and then be on TV, whether it was hosting or anchoring or calling games, whatever I needed to do. And there wasn't time to go home because I lived in Oakland. And that was an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, depending. Or sometimes I was doing sideline for the San Jose Earthquakes, which is about an hour south of San Francisco. I would do sideline for games up in Sacramento, which is about a 2-hour drive. So do radio, have the pillow and the blanket in the car. I would get ready in a lot of Target bathrooms because I knew they had plugs and I knew they had multiple bathrooms. So somebody wouldn't be pounding on the door after I'd been in there for 5 minutes trying to get ready, and they had a counter. So I would just bring my backpack into the bathroom, get ready at Target, and then go call or cover whatever game I needed to do, because that was what I thought I needed to do. And a lot of people question that. Like, did you need to work that hard? Maybe I didn't, but I think I had to, because there were so few opportunities for people like me at that time. I just had to say yes to everything.
I know. I heard you say that.
And continue to get the reps and get better and make connections. So yeah, maybe I didn't have to work as hard, but I also don't know if I'd be here talking to you today if I didn't.
Listen, I can relate to your journey in so many ways. I've said this before. I remember, at a, I won't say the company because I don't want to kind of like whatever, but I remember like literally knocking on doors multiple times, over and over and over and over and over again to get an opportunity to do something, right?
Yeah.
Anything, just please, 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 please. And finally I got that opportunity. And then I remembered one of the people that I was knocking on the door, they were like, there was a beautiful woman and they were like ready to give her the opportunity just like that, even though she didn't have an experience, didn't have any interest, didn't have any of this. And, when I was younger, I worked hard. I wasn't that good. I obviously had a different look than some gorgeous sort of beautiful women. And I had to work hard, Kate. Like I also slept in my car. I remember working early mornings. 3 o'clock in the morning, you're there. You're always tired. Mm-hmm. You're taking naps. You're doing this. You're doing that.
And maybe felt nauseous for like 2 years. I didn't realize until after I was done with that portion of my career that, I had felt nauseous pretty much for 2 years because I was getting so little sleep.
Totally.
But it just became your normal and your everyday. And I think you touch on a good point. This industry, there's no ladder, right? So every single person's journey
is different.
Is different. And if you're working in television, I tell this to young kids all the time, guys and gals, like it is a visual medium. Mm-hmm. So there is a chance, there will probably be lots of times throughout your career where a person who probably isn't deserving of that opportunity gets an opportunity because of how they look. And then it's up to them to prove that they actually have the talent to keep that job. But at the same time, getting back to what we were talking about comparison, there's plenty of people who are jealous of you and don't think you deserve your job. So try to let all of it go. Just
No,
stop with the comparison. Just stay in your lane, stay on your journey, and be grateful for every moment of it.
I am so grateful for my journey because it has made me stronger. It has made me, I've done everything.
Yeah,
Right. Just like you, I read it's unbelievable. I'm looking at this Wikipedia page, which, yeah, it's like, I'm like, wait, what? Like, I mean, I can't even say all the letters here. KSFO, KFRC, KCBS, KFOG, like how, were you like, where am I?
You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. It was a lot. But like you said, I'm so happy that this has been my journey.
1000%.
Because I've learned so much. And I'm one of those people who really loves knowing how it all comes together so that I can make other people's jobs easier. If at any point, like one of my favorite things about having been a sideline reporter for a number of years is I know the things I can do to help that person shine. And I remember the play-by-play announcers who I would throw back to I'd tee them up perfectly to continue the conversation. And all I got was
nothing.
Thanks, Kate. And they go right back to whatever it is they wanted to talk about. I'm like, well, thanks, bro. I mean, I worked really hard on that story, set you and your partner up perfectly to continue talking about this for the next 5 minutes if you want to. And you obviously were not listening whatsoever.
That's I love hearing you say that.
Whatever we can do to make things easier. And then also, I like to say I have like this army of people behind me all across the country now because I've worked with so many people. I mean, when I got to Philly, one of the camera operators said, Kate, I'm so excited you're here. I'm really good friends with Zach, who's a camera operator back in the Bay Area. And he just could not say enough nice things about you and was so stoked that you got this job. And like those are the moments, right? We're just a traveling circus. We're just one big broadcasting family. So the fact that I have people everywhere, when I go back now and call games on the West Coast, I worked with so many of them calling college games during my Pac-12 days. And now they're also, the crew for the Portland Trailblazers and the Portland Thorns. I just called a Thorns soccer match a couple of weeks ago, and I knew like half the crew because I'd worked with them since I was a little baby broadcaster. So that's it. I love my journey. It's been hard, but I love it.
I always say it's not about what you do, it's about who you are. And I really lean on that philosophy a lot. Like the way that I impact people, the way that people respond to me. When I lost my job last year, I was like, all right, this is going to really prove what kind of work I've done and how I've treated people for the last 20 years. Because if I was shitty in any of those areas, like really shitty, it's over.
Yeah. And I tell people that when you
can't go back.
And it might not hit you early in your career because people don't really know you that well. But I tell kids all the time that once you get to a certain level, if you're applying for professional jobs, to be voices of universities, to be voices of brands and organizations like the Sixers, et cetera, they do more than just look at your broadcasting. How are you going to be as far as a teammate who's working with this huge crew for 82 games a season? How are you going to be representing our team and our franchise in this city for the next foreseeable future? Like they look at everything. It's about more than just being a broadcaster. How are you, as you said, as a human being?
Yeah. My advice to young people coming up in this business, work hard and don't be an asshole.
So true. So true. I say that too. Yeah.
Pretty sad. Yeah.
I sometimes say be kind, but if I'm with an old enough group, I will say don't be an asshole too.
I'm like, don't be a beep, right? Like fill in the blanks.
Hey, that's like hello here in Philly, so we're good.
I'm going to ask you a question that Colin Cowherd asked me one time when I was sitting with him, and it's sort of, I don't know how you're going to respond to it, but it really, it kind of threw me back because I had never thought about it. When you are going through all these things and taking all these jobs and working all these things, are you running towards a goal or are you running from something?
Yeah, that is a good question. You didn't have to give Colin credit. You could have just taken the credit yourself, Shannon.
He asked it, and I thought it was really a really deep question because my answer, was absolutely running from something.
What were you running from?
Complacency, having to go back to where I grew up, not being able to support my family, which I did. The fear of, I guess the fear of going back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't,
makes sense.
what's your answer?
Huh.
Because like you, I don't think that this was ever my goal. Like I
Yeah.
didn't say like, yeah, I think I looked
didn't
at
know I
like,
could do this.
Melissa Stark and back in the day,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
would love to be on sidelines for the NFL, but it wasn't like, I'm going to do this.
Well, because there
This
was
is
like
my
5
goal.
women total.
Yeah.
On like all the networks and all the sports, there was 5, 6 women, period. Yeah, I think I actually probably have changed. I think probably initially I was running from something, all the same reasons that you said.
Mm-hmm.
Not wanting to go back, not wanting to lose jobs, not wanting, I struggle with complacency
Mm-hmm.
all the time. I was actually talking about that very word with a really good friend of mine recently. And she expressed to me that there is such a small space between complacency and contentment. And that's really difficult as those of us who have worked our asses off for
Mm-hmm.
our entire career to recognize when, because right now I'm really content,
Yeah.
which is a scary place to be in our industry because things can change in a heartbeat. Regional sports television, as you know, is changing very quickly. So I have a job with the Sixers today, but I don't know what the NBA broadcasting landscape is going to look like in a couple of years.
Yeah, I just went through it.
Yeah,
I mean,
as you know firsthand. So there is always that underlying fear in this industry that is lacking security, even if you have all the jobs and all of your dreams right now. But I think because I've realized in the last year plus that I'm really content, I think I'm now running towards something. And I think that is trying to be the best damn broadcaster I can be. I know I'm not there yet, but I hope in the next, who knows, 2 to 5 years, that people will stop referring to me as the female play-by-play announcer.
I love that.
Just say she's a play-by-play announcer who's fucking great.
Amen.
And I know I'm not there yet. I know some people think that, and a lot of people don't, and there's a bunch in the middle questioning. So I want to be considered one of the best voices in the NBA. I want people to say, wow, she should be the voice of women's soccer. We'll see what happens with football because I'm having a blast calling it, and maybe there's something there too. But I just want to push myself to the best I can be as a broadcaster, and then continue, as we've been talking about already, opening doors and minds for everybody else who wants to do this in this industry, and for the audience and fans who are like, that chick calling a game? I don't know about that. Start to hopefully, open minds and change minds just by pushing for that first goal, continuing to try to be the best I can.
Yeah, because when I was getting ready for this interview and I was writing down first female this, first female that, I was kind of like, oh gosh, I kind of wanted to say that to you. It's like, yeah, that it's you are awesome, but when is that sort of title going to drop?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
that
amazing
was-
that you've done these things and you've opened that door for so many of us to no longer be called the first female woman. But yeah, when's that going to stop?
Can that stop? Yeah, it's so interesting that you just said that. That was actually after I got the Sixers job. That was one of the first things my mom said to me. Can this be your last first?
Yeah.
And I said, I would love that, Mom, because it's been great, but it's also been exhausting, right? Because I would love, and again, I'm getting close to just get to call the game and not have to, all those things that you mentioned. I'm not here without all the firsts, because they obviously brought attention to my career and me and my craft and talent. But there's been so much in addition to just calling the game, which would be hard enough already. It would be hard enough to call your first NFL game on the radio or your first NBA game on the radio, but then to have to talk to every television and radio station in that market, to have to do podcasts, to have to do media for whatever team or brand it is.
Just want to do your job.
And then you get back to your hotel and you're exhausted and it's 9:00. And now you have to get back to your game prep, because
and you're also on a bubble, right? People are watching you.
What's going to matter is if you don't suck. So really, it's all about the game and calling a great game. But I've had to accept you have to do all the other things because you are lucky to be in this position. And it's not about you. It's about doing all these other things for everybody else who's finally paying attention for the first time. But yeah, so I'm hoping that the firsts are done. And I think we're getting really close, Shannon. I think we are.
So I wore this because I like I said, I love being a woman.
Yeah.
But I do think, you're held to, she has man hands. She's got boogers in her nose. Her hair looks greasy, all of this stuff physically. And then if I make a mistake, I don't know what the F I'm talking about.
Totally.
Whereas when a man makes a mistake, it's like, oh, he just made a mistake. Right.
Yeah.
And,
I,
and we do hold,
that kid was probably taking care of his kids last night. It's like, yeah, I've had shit to do too.
we hold women to a higher standard on those things too. Right.
Yeah.
Because we know that we're all sort of in this together and judged together. And so there are a lot of extra things when you're a woman, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, I hold myself to an incredibly high standard. I'm relentlessly self-critical, probably too often. But it's because I know.
Do you ever go back and watch?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think it's really
Yeah.
important. You know, it was really hard early in my career. It's gotten much easier as I've gotten better. But again, I know if I do a great job, it's going to open doors and create opportunities for other people who want to do this, who may not have gotten the chance before, because I know that people who do the hiring are watching and wondering how it's going. So I hold myself to that standard, and it took me a long time to realize that not everybody does that. That not everybody has their standard up here. A lot of people are just happy to be here, but I'm always reaching for that. I don't always reach it, but I'm always reaching for it, because I know that my success will have ripple effects.
Yeah, I barely walk away from a broadcast going, man, I nailed that. I think there are places in the broadcast that I'm like, okay, that was good.
Yeah.
Do more of that.
Yeah.
That was not good, but I barely walk away. And that's why, I hear that all the time. Like, you're too hard on yourself. You're your biggest critic.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you about the 76ers, because you're wearing the Philly shirt, obviously. and we'll, this is kind of, I want to move into that.
Okay.
As we kind of go towards the end of this interview. Tell me about the process to get that job.
Well, process is a loaded word here in Philly, Shannon, but I will tell you about the process. So the good news was, and this is another thing I tell kids all the time, apply for the jobs, go through the process, because I had been through the process with the Sacramento Kings just a couple of years prior and made it all the way to the final round with the Kings. I knew when I started the process who they were going to hire. As you know, sometimes jobs are already decided, but you just go through the motions. And I'm so grateful that I went through that, because the Sixers process, another NBC affiliate, it was NBC Bay Area, NBC California, and now I work for NBC Sports Philadelphia. The process was exactly the same.
Wow.
So because of that, there was a calm and confidence, right? Anytime you've gone through something, you know what to expect. So all those nerves about doing something for the first time were gone. It started with a phone call with the producer, the executive producer of live events at NBC Philly. It was just a Zoom with us, just talking. And I I thought never in a million years would the Philadelphia 76ers and Philadelphia hire a gay chick from California. So I was 100% myself, because if they were going to hire me, I wanted them to know exactly what they were going to get, because I thought that it would be a disservice to me and to them if I acted like somebody else and then got the job and wasn't that person.
Was that the first time ever that you had sort of approached a job interview like that?
Yeah, I think it actually was. I just kind of
I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, fuck it. Like, the Philadelphia 76ers are never hiring me. So let's be 100% myself, the person that I've been on this podcast. And let's cuss and just see what happens, because I know this is going to be a huge leap for them. So I want them to know exactly what they're getting. And we chatted for about 15 or 20 minutes. This was back in summer of 2021. And I said, okay, cool. So this has been great. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. I have no idea how you feel about me. But if I am to proceed in this process, like what is the next step going to look like? And he said, well, you're calling Olympic basketball for NBC for the next couple of weeks. So just going to watch you, and we'll call you if we like what we hear. And I was like, sweet, cool, awesome. Well, enjoy the Olympics. I'm not going to be sleeping for the next 3 weeks anyway. So fast forward to that, and we get on the other side, and I start calling college football with Mike Golick, which was at the time the biggest opportunity of my career. Shout out to Mike Golick and me.
Hi, Mike.
We're still
Big fan.
buddies. Yeah,
Big fan.
huge fan. Tom Bowman was our producer. The three of us were like a traveling circus. So traveling with them, it was like week 4, and get a call, and they're like, "Hey, like we'd love for you to come to Philly and audition for this job." Like, oh God, how am I going to make this happen? Yeah, but again, I had been through the same process with the Sacramento Kings. It was easier. It was just a short drive at that point. I was living in the Bay Area. I'll speed this story up. So,
take your time. This is so fascinating to me. And to, by the way, people that are listening to this,
yeah,
who will have to go through this same process. So
okay,
don't ever think that it's not interesting.
okay.
It's a tutorial for all of us who will have to go through it.
So went through the Zoom, then did a live tryout calling Olympic basketball. Otherwise, I probably would have had a reel and they would have looked at all of that. But anyway, so they fly me out to Philly. Of course, like it's delayed. There's all that stuff. My audition is at like 9 a.m. the next morning. And I'm supposed to do kind of like a little fake broadcast. So Ala, my analyst who I work with now, of course, was sick. So it wasn't with Ala. And I'm thinking, of course, the overthinker in me is like, is he sick or does he just not want to audition with me?
Yep.
What's going on? So I had that doubt. I've already planted in my head. I'm supposed to be
imposter
doing
syndrome sneaking in, huh?
Exactly. So the open is the first 2.5 minutes of a broadcast when the announcer is actually on camera. Welcome to the city of brotherly love as we get set for the Sixers to host the Charlotte Hornets tonight on game 42 of the season, whatever. I can't access the file they've sent me. So I'm like trying to do that. I don't want to bug people. I don't want to be that person at night. I'm emailing the producer at like 9 o'clock. Hey, I can't access. Anyway, get into NBC Sports Philadelphia the next day. And I'm so grateful. Kelsey, shout out to Kelsey if she's watching this. She has been promoted and is still with our crew. But Kelsey was the person who helped me coordinate my travel. As you know, it's usually all dudes and me, which I was used to. But
Yeah.
I walk into NBC Sports Philadelphia and Kelsey has this huge smile on her face and sticks out her hand and she's like, "I'm so excited you're here. Good luck. You're going to do great." And I could just tell that she was she wanted me to win, right? She wanted me to succeed. And having that moment, because I then went into a meeting with the GM of NBC Sports Philadelphia and these big, powerful men in Philly sports, which is intimidating. I fake it well, but it's intimidating. And then went into the studio and Mark Jackson, who does our pre and post game analysis, was the fill-in that day. And we did the open and thankfully I crushed it. And then we called parts of a game. So they gave me a heads up a few days prior what game it would be. It was a game from the year before, but I wouldn't know what parts of it I was calling. And again, after going through the Kings process, I decided I didn't want to know everything that was happening in the game because then I wouldn't naturally react to it. So I watched the game once and I didn't take notes or anything. I just watched it once. So I would kind of have an idea what was coming, but I didn't know where in the game they would start us, what they were going to want us to call.
That's brave.
And I didn't want to have rehearsed lines because that's not how you do this. You are live. It doesn't matter how much prep you do. You are reacting live to what is happening in front of you.
Yeah.
And we did like the first 6-7 minutes of the game right off tip off because they wanted to see how I started a game. Took it to the first commercial break and then they fast forwarded to the third quarter where there was like a replay and there was a controversial call. They wanted to see how I handled that. And then they fast forwarded to the fourth quarter and there was a couple of big plays. They wanted to see my excitement and my energy. And that was it. And they came into the studio and said, "Cool. Do you want to have lunch?" And I knew then that they were actually serious about it because nobody asks you to have lunch after an audition. Usually didn't do it. I did the Kings thing. And thankfully I had planned my flight back to California later in the day. And I said, yes, I would love to have lunch. And then went out with, again, the kind of the head of NBC Sports Philly, the producer and director and associate producer on the broadcast, who would be the main 3 guys that I would be working with, who would be in my ear during broadcast. And we just went out to lunch and that was just are we going to be able to work with this person, right, for 82 games a season? Is she going to fit into our family? And all 4 of them were Philly guys, born and raised. But I love that. And finally, to end this story, I just asked them at the end of lunch, because again, I knew this was going to be a huge risk for all of us. even though I didn't think it was, because I thought I was ready for the position. I said, guys, let's just get the elephant out here. Let's set her down. Let's talk about her. Like, if you guys hire me, how do you think it's going to go? And they said, well, we're 4 dudes from Philly and we fucking love you. So if you get this job and it doesn't work out, it's not going to be because of you. It's because we misread the situation, because we think you'd be a great fit here in Philly. And that, hearing that support from them meant everything to me. And in that moment, I realized, if they offer me this job, I'm going to take it, because I know that these guys have my back. And then a number of weeks later, into the football season, again, I didn't hear from them. And you're like, okay, well, they liked me, but I wasn't right for them.
Yeah.
And then, got a call actually in an airport, ready to board a flight to go call a college football game with Mike Golick. And they usually call your agent. They don't call you, but they called.
So your phone rings and it's a Philly area
code. It's a Philly number, and I'm
what
expecting them to say, Kate, it was so wonderful to meet you. Man, what a trajectory you're on. We're so excited for you. Unfortunately, we
decided to go a different direction.
That's what I was expecting. So I was like, okay, answer the phone. It's going to be okay. Don't cry. And I pick up the phone. Hey, Kate, it's Sean Alexiak with NBC Sports Philadelphia. Hey, Sean, how are you? Yeah, okay. We just wanted to say that we loved meeting you, and we would love for you to be the next voice of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm going to start crying again. And the tears started running down my cheek. And in that moment, all the hard work, was sleeping in my Prius in a parking lot in San Francisco, getting ready in Target bathrooms. I was like, wow, my life is about to change. This is incredible. I never thought that I would have this conversation. And here we are. I'm flying a college football game with Mike freaking Golick. The Philadelphia 76ers want me to be their play-by-play voice for the foreseeable future. Like, what is happening? This is never in my wildest dreams. And then I was an idiot and said, oh my gosh, thank you. Let me talk to my wife. Let me think this over.
Yeah.
When I wanted to say, hell fucking yeah, I would love to be the voice of the Philadelphia 76ers forever. That was a really big moment in my life and my career. And I'm so grateful to NBC and the Sixers for taking a chance on me, even though I didn't think it was a chance. But every day I crack the mic thinking of them and all the men and women who were a part of that decision, saying, okay, we're doing this. We're thinking outside the box. We are putting all our cards in the middle of the table on Kate Scott. Let's see what she can do. And I'd never forget that chance they took on me in this city too, giving me a chance. So I try to pay them back every single time I crack the mic.
Can we, I want to watch it.
Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the floor here at the center. You know this guy, Abdel Nabi. Mark Zumoff looks different all of a sudden. Hi there, everyone. My name is Kate Scott, and I am so honored and just incredibly pleased to be sitting where Mark sat for 27 years and looking forward to having a whole lot of fun with this guy and hopefully all of you for a very long time.
Because I double clutch.
Absolutely. We're so happy to have you. Allow me, on behalf of everyone at NBC Sports Philadelphia and Sixer fans worldwide, we know you've got big shoes to fill. We know you're going to be able to do it. We're so glad you're here. Welcome aboard.
Oh,
Franklin, the mascot, comes in. Oh my gosh. I was terrified, Shannon. I was so scared. I'd done so many interviews already that day. I'd been sitting in that chair, sweating my pants off for 2 hours already, doing hits with NBC 10, our local affiliate here. And I was overwhelmed and exhausted. But look at Allah. I mean,
what do you say to yourself? Because I always say, you got this, Spake, breathe. You got this. You've done this before.
Yeah, my wife a number of years ago gave me this phrase that in the moments when I'm really overwhelmed, she said, don't you ever fucking forget you're supposed to be here.
Oh my gosh.
So I sometimes, especially in football press boxes, when I'm usually the only woman, the bathroom is always empty. I'll go in and look at myself in the mirror and say, you're supposed to be here. You have fucking worked your ass off. You earned this. You deserve this. They had every single man that they could have hired probably applied for this job, but they chose you. So go out and fucking crush it, because you're supposed to be here. So that's what I told myself before that. And I can't thank Allah enough. We're such good buddies. We're going to a Phillies games with our girls in the next couple of weeks because we're actually friends. But he, right when I got the job, first of all, profusely apologized for being sick the day of my audition. He was actually sick. And he said, I want you to know something. You were the best. I watched all the auditions. I was a part of them. I had, I don't know how much they weighed my opinion, but you were the fucking best. You deserve to be here. I'm going to do everything I can to help you succeed. And I'm so excited to work with you for the next number of years, and let's go crush it. So again, he didn't have to do any of that. He didn't have to say any of that. So I think you could see just the way he was looking at me. He was trying to do everything he could to put his energy into me and say, kid, you got this. I know tonight is terrifying. And even Franklin coming over too. Gosh, it feels like
you and I, we talk a lot. We talk a lot about women, right, in this and supporting women. But I just heard it from you. There are a lot of men that we also have to give a lot of credit to who, like my guy is Marty Smith from ESPN.
Yeah,
I didn't know jack whatever about NASCAR. I didn't have relationships, and he took me under his wing and helped me have some, I don't know, just gave me a little bit more. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Credibility, I guess, in that crowd. And so I do think that there's, and along the way, Brad, I'll name drop, right? Brad Nessler, helping me out when I first started in basketball. I didn't know my head from my toes when I was doing that stuff. John Calipari being kind to me and giving me opportunities to kind of watch his team. Any of these men who also wanted to be part of this journey and be a huge supporter because they understand that we go through things that they don't go through.
Yeah, 100%. I just a couple of nights ago here in Philly had dinner with one of the people who gave me my very first opportunity 20 years ago back at NBC Sports Bay Area, Richard Zinn. I shout out Tom Bowman, who was the producer on the football season that I did, the college football season with Mike Golick. Those two, I mean, they're my big brothers. And I got the Sixers job, obviously, as I said, when I was traveling with them. And they have been so huge for my confidence and just continually telling me, you've earned this, you deserve this. We are so excited to work with you and watch where your career goes because you're just getting started. So yeah, I like to talk about my male champions all the time.
There are
the support from women like you means everything, but men are more often than not still the decision makers in this industry. So to have guys who are rooting me on and cheering for me means everything.
And your wife tells you, remember, you're supposed to be here. My boyfriend tells me to remember who the fuck I am. That's what he tells me. Remember who the fuck you are. Yeah.
All
it's very similar.
Yeah, it's really important. And I'm proud of both of us for not cussing as much as I thought we were actually going to cuss in this podcast.
I mean, listen, I
too,
try with my
too.
kids. Thankfully now they're 15-year-old boys and they're dropping some of these. And I'm just like, please.
They've been cussing for years at school.
Not in front of the grandparents, just don't say it there because then I'm going to have to hear it. You can say it in front of me, but don't say it in front of them.
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorites.
I just got a couple of other questions, and these are just, selfish questions for me. I covered NBA for the very first time this season. It was a brand new world to me.
And you did great.
And I think one of the things when I do look at women that are in this industry, the relationships that you have with the players, I think those are one of the things that I go, man, how do I do that? How do I have that kind of relationship with these players? So I'm an older woman. Listen, I can be their mom, right? And I'm not, I know I'm not like looking to, it's none of that stuff. Like it's but I want to have a relationship with them. I want to be friends with them. I want them to trust me.
Yeah.
And those relationships are the most important to me. I look at these athletes as humans, not as quotes or sound bites or any of that stuff. When things go right and things go wrong, they're human beings. And so how do you approach that relationship with those guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, so much of it is just showing up. For my first year that I was with the Sixers, I would just show up, go to every practice I could, go to every shoot around, and just kind of be seen. Because when you get to the NBA, the NFL, the top of the top, people are always asking you for things, right? Can you tweet this out? Can you post this on your gram? Can you come on my podcast? Everybody's always asking them for things. So I just wanted them to see that I was there and I was They were doing their job on the practice court, but this is how much it meant to me. I was going to put in the work, watching, seeing what I could observe from practice, and slowly but surely, as I expected, because it's kind of a raised balcony at the Sixers practice facility, I started seeing guys kind of like point up and start to wave to me and stuff. And once they started to do that, a number of months in, because it was COVID still, I finally got to say hello to them. But even then, I didn't ask them for anything. I just said, "Hey, like I'm Kate Scott. I'm the play-by-play voice." And they're like, "Yeah, we know who you are. Obviously, you sound great. We love your excitement." And just, "Hey, you're having a great season." It was really, I slow play everything when it comes to introducing myself to these guys, because again, so many people are trying to take from them that I just try to be a giver. And then I talk to them as human beings, as you said, because everybody, understandably, the reporters who cover the team want to know what they were thinking on that play. What do they think of this signing? But I ask them about the other stuff, like, "Oh my gosh, that photo you posted of your daughter's birthday yesterday was so fun. Tell me more about that. Why is she so into ponies right now?" And we just talk like human beings. So I think that has helped them kind of come around to me, that I have not asked them for anything. And then a year or two in, when something is going on, when somebody is struggling, when you want to know why they passed up that shot or messed up that inbounds play, you can sit down with them at a shoot around the day of a game when nobody else is around. So it's just a one-on-one, and say, "Hey, so last night in that game, what were you thinking? I'm not gonna take this to air if you don't want to, but I'm just curious because I was seeing something. What did you see?" Right? So I just kind of let them know all the time, like, I'm not gotcha. I'm the voice of this team. I like to say I'm a propagandist for the Sixers in the city of Philadelphia, right? I want all of us to shine and succeed. But I want them to trust me and be willing to also tell me things if and when I need to have a conversation. So the slow play has seemed to work out.
Yeah, I was listening to you say that, and I was getting emotional because there's no book, there's no no one's there to kind of tell you when you're a woman kind of making your way through this, and to hear everything that you've said, your journey, some of the quotes that you've mentioned. I told you I felt very connected to you when I was reading some of the quotes and the articles, and then just to hear you say the way that you approach players, I thought you were going to give me this, those are the things that I do.
Yeah.
And no one tells you that this is the way you're supposed to do it. And so, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, they're
Thank
humans.
you.
I think
And I feel very connected to you.
Well, I think that is so important to remember. And it's so, especially these days with gambling and betting everywhere. I know that these guys are just, looked at as tools these days for a lot of people, and we're losing the humanity. But people don't see they'll see the contract, but what they don't see, Shannon, is that this 20-year-old kid who has no idea what's about to happen in their life, is now making a ton of money and has to take care of 20 people in their family who don't care that he is working his ass off every single day, and doesn't have time to be the financial planner for 20 people, and can't book hotel rooms for them and get tickets. And a lot of these young guys are thrown into a very overwhelming situation that people don't see. They just see, "Oh, he's making this much a year." But they're also just young kids and young men who are trying to figure out life and trying to play the sport they love and do it more times than they've ever done before in their life, and at a higher level, and with more physicality, and with teammates who may or may not like them. Like, it's really hard, and I think we get blinded by the money oftentimes. But I always come back to, these guys are just human beings trying to be as successful as they can for themselves and their dreams and their families and stuff. So that's what I always come back to.
Yeah, I kind of had to go through it with the Mark Williams thing, and the kid, I mean, he's a child, and going through some major things, and a lot of people talking about him, and kind of back and forth, and and I just kind of gave him a hug.
Yeah.
Like,
no, there's been times last season. I mean, the Sixers had a really difficult season last year, and there was a couple of moments
we kind of didn't have a great season.
No, but it was the expectations for the Sixers after signing Paul George last year were so high, and then to fail so miserably at coming anywhere close to those expectations got really hard for the guys. So there was, again, a couple of times where everybody was being awful to them online, screaming things at them at games. And a part of me gets that if, your parlay got screwed or whatever. But then I always come back to, these guys want to win. They're just in a really difficult situation right now. So there was a couple of times when we'd be at hotels and I would say, hey, so-and-so, can I give you a hug? Do you need a hug right now? Coaches and players. And they would be like, that would actually be awesome. And that may sound lame to some people, but the humanity is one of my favorite parts of this. So I was really grateful for those moments. And I imagine that they're going to be beneficial for me and those players and coaches in the years moving forward, because I saw them in those moments as human beings and not as players and coaches who were struggling.
I truly, 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 I just love you so much more, because I definitely feel a connection to you so much more than I did before I sat down with you and talked to you today. So for so many reasons, and I appreciate, and I know that you don't need to hear thank you from people like me for doing what you do, for being who you are. So thank you.
No, thank you for saying that. It actually means the most sometimes, coming from women like you who know what this industry is like and how hard it is. And we were taught to compete against each other for so many years. So thank you for saying that. I feel closer to you too. This has been an honor and a pleasure, because I've been a fan of yours for a long time. We're so excited we finally got to meet now that you're in the NBA this season. And look forward to drinks and hanging out in the years to come, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
Let's definitely do it. Some bourbon and a cigar. Is it bourbon and a cigar? Is that what it is?
Done. I don't discriminate. I mean, the cup says whiskey. It's just been water today.
Whiskey. Okay, whiskey and a cigar. I may have to pass on the cigar.
I'll teach you. I got my humidor right behind me. Charles Barkley, my humidor. So I'll find you a light smoke. We'll get it going.
There you go. I could do that. I could do that for sure. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Kick some ass on preseason.
Back at ya.
Okay. We're still trying to figure all this out, people. So, I'm not going to lie and say that I've got all my crap together. I'm a hot mess 95% of the time and got a lot of stuff going on. I actually have my dad in town right now and he's staying in this room. So right before we did the podcast, I had to pull all the lights and everything, we're making this work. So we had a little technical issues with Kate. I'm pretty disappointed about that, but we'll get it right. And Kelly and I are, we need to get a soundboard. So we're pulling back the veil. We're actually in the same room. Okay, that was I know you loved that. She's a Philadelphia fan. I mentioned your mom, so your mom's probably going to be super super stoked about that. What'd you think? I know that you only heard some of it, but what'd you think?
Well, I mean, I had high expectations, and she met them. She met her moment. I just love her. Like, as a Philadelphia fan, it's hard when someone new comes into the world. Like, we're a little bit
Were you a little skeptical?
I wasn't, just because I think I have that, I want a female to succeed kind of thing. So, and honestly, she wins you over right away. Like, she's so good. And so no, I would say I personally wasn't, but I would tell you that my family was, and that most of the people that I know from the world were. And it wasn't just because she was a female, it was also because she wasn't from Philadelphia.
That's right.
And so there's that's really more, for those of you that don't understand Philadelphia, it's really less about your race or your gender. It's more that you're not from Philly. It's a lot more of that. So I think that's really where she was kind of coming up against something. But she's such a good announcer. And we had a rough season last year, and she did a really good job of still engaging fans and keeping it real, because they were terrible, but at the same time, still calling a game and doing a game at the best of her ability. And honestly, her stories were so great. And I just think, it was nice to hear how much you guys have in common.
Oh my gosh.
You're not from the same places. It's just amazing how journeys coincide. And I'm going to say this, I was the first female producer for Race Hub when it happened, and that was a big deal to me, because even though we don't always want the first, but if someone tells you that you have the courage and the strength to be the first at something, you are paving a way. And I think that you've been the first in a lot of areas, she's been the first in a lot of areas, and you're the right women to lead so that the next generation doesn't have to say first.
Well, I did get emotional when I heard her talking about some of this stuff, because like I said to you, you realize that you're doing it the right way. When you look at someone like her, who has who you think is doing it the right way. And then she says that, and then you realize, oh my gosh, that's the way I'm doing it too. And there is no playbook. There is no, hey, this is the right way to do things. But to just have that affirmation, I guess, from someone that you really, really respect, it really got me. So yeah, I think that gosh, how cool is she?
She's so cool. I want to be friends with her. I feel like that's always the litmus, right?
Yeah.
If you walk away just meeting someone or hearing an interview with them or whatever and wanting to be friends with them, that makes you feel like you got a really good look into their soul. And I feel like we got a really good look into her soul.
This whole podcast thing has been really cool for me to be able to have some of these conversations. And I did the Samantha Bush's podcast. It dropped this week and talked about things that I've never talked about before openly. And obviously you've been a friend of mine for a very long time. So a lot of the stuff that I've been going through. But the response has been really good. And I said in Sam's podcast that I do feel like I have, there goes my dog. So she bark. There you go. I do have a responsibility. I have the platform to be able to share some stories and people then can relate to that. I came back from her podcast and took like a 3-hour nap because I was worn out. Just because,
sharing.
yeah. And then you're scared. When I went back and listened to her podcast, I listened to every single word because I was really scared about what I said. And I want to be fair to people, even though some people don't deserve the fairness, but you still want to be fair. Right. And so that was really hard. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who kind of listened to that. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Well, and it's great. And it's great. Sam has an interesting platform and, I think the more that, we open up and talk about things, the more regular it will become.
Yeah.
And it's not as taboo to have conversations and open up your personal life a little bit. I mean, Kate did it today. You did it. It just takes a little bit of courage and then it becomes normal.
I also think in the world, and we didn't get into social media with Kate, which we could have, and had another hour-long conversation with her. I think one of the things that she said that it really struck me is that she loves to interact with people on social media, which I do as well. Mm-hmm. I really love responding to people, talking to people. But when you do, you have to take the bad with the good. And unfortunately, there can be a million good things and one bad thing. And that one bad thing is what you connect on. I'm human. I want to be liked. All of us want to be liked. And so you really do deal with that. And I know that she's had to deal with it. And again, she sets the bar very high for people who can handle that. You say a thick skin or whatever. But that's, it's sometimes a lot easier said than done. But I do think that, just kind of knowing some of the things that she goes through and I didn't get into it with her, but for me personally, going back on TNT, exposing yourself, putting yourself out there in a situation. I remember one time when I did my first Daytona 500 show on Fox, I did like a 2-hour show and people were, saying stuff about this or what I was wearing. And I remember thinking to myself, I just did the biggest show of my entire career. And I'm worried that people on social media are saying that my outfit wasn't okay, or that I spoke too fast, or that I did this. I still did it. And so I think talking to people like Kate and just to Samantha and kind of putting yourself out there, I think also allows people to realize that you are human.
Yeah. And it's really easy to write stuff.
Yeah.
It's really hard to look at someone in the face and say, your outfit's horrendous, but your outfit today, spot on.
Okay. So the shirt, before we get going, I went rambling there a little bit, so I apologize. I'm wearing a shirt. It says, "This is the best day ever." And it's from the Barbie movie, but Kelly and I had coined this phrase. Was it Richmond?
Richmond.
2014?
Was it even? No, it had to have been earlier than that.
You think?
I think it was 10.
So was it it was definitely far in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And you were producing with me.
Yep. We were doing stuff for Sports Center and NASCAR Now. We were doing some live hits and whatever else was going on.
And what people don't realize,
Marty was there.
Yeah. So when I worked for ESPN, you would be there. And I talked a little bit about this with Alan Beswick, but when you did news and information for ESPN, you were there all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. And sometimes you were only there for like a minute of television, and sometimes that minute of television got cut. Uh-huh. If the NFL guys talked a little bit too long on SportsCenter, sorry, we're cutting it.
The NASCAR hits get dead.
So we're cut. So Kelly and I think it was probably 1,000 degrees in Richmond. We were there all day all day. It might have been a night race. So we might have got there at 9 a.m. for a night race. And we're walking out, like, I guess through through the
Tunnel.
Yeah, we're going towards the tunnel.
We were going to go to catering.
And there was a fan. There was a fan that walked by and said, like, I just saw Dale Jr., right? I think it was that. Yeah. This is the best day ever. This is what the fan said. And Kelly and I looked at each other and we were like, best day ever.
Yeah. Well, we used it actually as an anthem to remind ourselves that even though we were tired and we were exhausted, that what we were bringing was the vibe and the feeling of the track and the love of the
But with a little sarcasm.
With sarcasm. So basically it was our reminder that we are lucky to do this, but at the same time, it's not easy.
Best
and not
day ever.
everybody can do it. So we still say to each other,
Yeah, we do.
I have multiple items that I just keep in my desk at Fox that say best day ever. Basically, we say to each other anytime life gets a little hard.
I feel like I have the sign that you gave me somewhere around here. It's definitely somewhere, and it says best day ever because you gave it to me as well. You also gave me one about life being hard.
Yeah.
I won't mention that one on air. But best day ever is sort of our, and we would sit through rain delays and Kelly would key my mic and be like, best day ever. So that's our best day ever story. And I'm wearing the shirt to prove it. Okay. Let me, next week, and I want to get his last name correct.
This is exciting. Y'all.
It's going to be Reese Alexiadis. And Reese Alexiadis is the outfielder for
the Savannah Bananas.
Yes. So we have a Savannah Banana on next week. They just performed, I guess, or played and performed.
They have a league.
Yes, they played and performed. If you've seen them in person, which I did when they were in Charlotte, they're absolutely a performance. But they're playing as well. They played at Fenway.
Okay. Wow.
So you think about some of these young baseball players who didn't make the major leagues, who now get an opportunity to go and play at frickin' Fenway.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They're like the Harlem Globetrotter kind of vibe for baseball. And if you don't know who they are, a little homework, everybody just do a little Google search.
Savannah Banana.
Savannah Banana is totally worth it.
Yeah, I think Reese is the one that they kind of call Superman. I did a little research on him and he looks a little like Superman. So maybe we'll wear our Superman shirt.
That's exciting.
Okay. Thank you to Kate Scott. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure that you reach out to Kate and let her know what you thought of the interview, and me as well, Kelly as well. And next week we've got Reese Alexiadis from the Savannah Bananas. Thank you guys all for your support. We'll be in Sonoma this weekend. So I appreciate all the support. I've had so many people come up to me and tell me that they like the podcast and they're listening. And so I really appreciate that. And thank you to Samantha Bush, who had me on this week as well to tell my story. If you haven't listened to that, Certified Oversharer is the name of her podcast, and you can catch it anywhere you get your podcast. So later.